The movie opens with two brothers, Nathan, the younger of the two, who is nicknamed Nate. Both brothers sneak into a museum to steal a map. However, police officers soon arrive and transport the children back to their orphanage, as they have no parents and have lived in the orphanage their whole lives. Nate's older brother had made several attempts to steal the map because they come from a family of pirates. The map reveals the secret to a hidden treasure. The orphanage sister tells the officer, "You can take Nate's older brother because he's still young," noting that despite being restrained, he would often rob. However, Nate's older brother refuses to surrender to the police. Instead, he decides to escape. He enters his room to pack his belongings. Nate, upset, says to his older brother, "I can't live without you." In response, Nate's older brother gives him a necklace, a lighter, and a letter, then departs, saying, "I'll definitely come back." After his brother leaves, Nate opens the letter. By using the lighter, he reveals a hidden message that reads, "We come from a pirate family, and we'll meet again." The scene then shifts 15 years into the future. We now see Nate as an adult, working at a bar. He still engages in petty theft. While working at the bar, he is visited by a man named Victor. Victor tells Nate that he knows both him and his brother, claiming they once worked together. However, Nate is uninterested and dismisses Victor, who leaves behind a card with his address on it. In the next scene, Nate returns home and discovers the map that he and his brother had once tried to steal. Victor arrives soon after and comments, "If you had come earlier, you could have told me this." Nate informs him that this is the same map so many people have been searching for, a treasure map that countless have pursued, often losing their lives in the process, without success. Nate dismisses it, calling it a pointless story. Victor, however, assures Nate, "This isn't a pointless story. I'm sure you and your brother know a lot about this map." Victor later gives Nate a book and a picture of a ship. This isn't just any ship. It's an antique vessel valued at $500 million, and it also holds buried treasure. This treasure was hidden by a group of 18 individuals. Victor, knowing so much about the treasure, can't let Nate go easily. He offers Nate a chance to work with him, but Nate initially declines. Victor then adds, "If you come with me, you can find your brother." Nate goes home and begins reminiscing by looking at his brother's belongings. Later, he agrees to work with Victor. The next morning, Nate meets Victor and hands him a cross-shaped object. He explains, "This isn't just a cross, it's the key to unlocking the treasure." Victor reveals that he has one of the keys and says that the other must be stolen soon. According to Victor, the other key is held by an auction company and will be on display shortly, so they must steal it. Victor successfully steals the key from the company, but as he's leaving, a woman named Brett confronts him, holding a knife to his throat. She demands the key, acting under the orders of her boss, who is one of Victor's old enemies. While they struggle over the key, guards arrive, and Victor uses the commotion to escape with the key. Victor and Nate then travel to Barcelona, where they encounter a woman named Fraser, who knows Victor but not Nate. When Fraser questions who Nate is, Victor introduces him as an old friend. However, Nate soon realizes that Fraser, not Victor, holds the other key. Angry, Nate confronts Victor, saying, "Why did you lie to me?" Fraser interjects, saying that Nate might not fully understand the situation. As they argue, Fraser discreetly steals the key and tries to escape. Fraser rushes to her car, but Nate blocks her path. Victor arrives shortly after, telling Fraser that although she could take the treasure, she has no idea what it really is. Only Nate understands its significance. After hearing this, Fraser agrees to work with them. Nate then reveals that the treasure was hidden near a church by the original 18 individuals many years ago. When they arrive at the church, Nate begins to recognize symbols from the cards his brother had given him, confirming they are in the right place. The three of them descend into the church's basement, where they find the location to activate the key. The key was hidden beneath a statue, but they are unsure which way to turn it. Victor reads from the book that both keys must be turned clockwise. As they turn the keys, arrows shoot out from the statue, but miraculously, the three of them are unharmed. Taking another risk, Nate and Fraser decide to turn the keys counterclockwise this time. After that, a path appears behind the statue, leading into a cave. Nate informs Victor that they must use separate routes from here. He says, "Fraser and I will take one route, and you will take another." Nate and Victor connect their phone's GPS to stay in touch. Nate and Fraser head down one path, while Victor takes the other. While traveling through the underground path, Nate and Fraser stumble upon a bar. Hidden within the bar was a secret passage unknown to anyone. Before they could proceed, a group of attackers confronts them. Nate fights off the attackers while Fraser tries to open the door. Once the door is opened, both Nate and Fraser escape. They soon come across another door, which can be opened using the cross key. As Fraser attempts to open it, water begins to flood the area. They realize that the first door must be opened before the second one can be unlocked, and only Victor can do that. Victor, on the other side, is struggling to open his door when the same woman who had attacked him earlier appears again. Victor and the woman engage in a fierce battle. Meanwhile, Nate and Fraser are trapped in the flooding room and are on the verge of passing out. Victor finally manages to knock the woman unconscious and uses the key to unlock the door. Nate and Fraser make it out just in time, narrowly escaping the flood. Now, they face the final door, but no one knows how to unlock it. Victor observes them through a small opening from outside. Using his wit, Nate asks Fraser to retrieve the other key from Victor. Initially, Victor doesn't trust them and refuses to hand over the key, but he eventually relents, realizing he has no other choice. Nate spots a symbol on the door. When he combines both keys, the same symbol appears, allowing them to unlock the door. As they pass through, they find three enormous pots. Victor, still fixated on the treasure, keeps bombarding Nate with questions. Nate tips Fraser upside down to see what's inside the pots. Fraser discovers that the pots are filled with salt, meaning there's no treasure inside. As they inspect further, one of the pots cracks open, revealing a hidden map. This was the real map to the treasure. Fraser, sensing an opportunity, raises her gun at Nate. "What do you think?" She sneers. "Did Victor tell you the truth?" She fires the gun, knocking Nate unconscious, then takes the map and the keys before leaving. Victor soon finds Nate and sees him unconscious. When Nate regains consciousness, he realizes that Fraser has betrayed them. Angrily, Nate confronts Victor, asking, "What have you kept from me? What are you hiding?" Victor reveals that he and Nate's brother had gone treasure hunting years ago. To do so, they had to steal a book, which they did. But as they were leaving, the people of Mercado fired at them. Nate's brother was hit by a bullet and died as a result. Overcome with emotion, Nate begins to cry. "You left him to die," Nate accuses Victor. "And now you're depending on me to find the treasure." Victor admits, "I lied, but your brother's final wish was for you to carry on his dream." Nate assures Victor, "I will find the treasure and fulfill my brother's ambition, but after that, we'll go our separate ways." Later, Fraser is seen with Brett and her boss, revealing that she was working for them all along. Brett's boss informs her that she will now be working under Fraser. Soon after, Brett's boss sets off on a treasure hunt with his crew in a plane, carrying everything important for the mission. Brett's boss boasts about the treasure, saying, "It's my treasure, my family's long-lost fortune." However, Brett unexpectedly kills her boss. Fraser, realizing that Brett might now kill her too, hides in the plane's cargo hold. Brett instructs her men to shoot Fraser if they find her. Meanwhile, Nate and Victor are searching for Fraser. They sneak onto the plane by hiding in the car's trunk. While looking for Fraser, they find the treasure map and decide to use it to their advantage. A gunfight breaks out between Brett and Fraser. Amid the chaos, Victor tells Nate, "We've got the map. Let's use the parachutes and get out of here." Victor jumps out with a parachute, but Nate hesitates and confronts Brett, accusing her of killing his brother. Nate then opens the cargo door, sending the luggage falling out of the plane, and ties a parachute to some of the cargo. As the cargo is ejected, Brett's men start shooting at Victor and Nate. Nate's foot gets caught in the cargo, and he is pulled out, dangling in the air. After a struggle, Nate manages to climb back into the plane. Meanwhile, Fraser escapes by driving a car out of the plane and parachuting down. Nate falls out of the plane along with the car. While in free fall, Fraser tells Nate to open a parachute, but Nate doesn't have one. They both manage to land safely using a cargo parachute. They eventually arrive at the sea and land on a beach, where they check into a hotel to study the map. Fraser, unable to figure out the map, falls asleep, but Nate stays up all night deciphering it and taking notes. The next morning, Fraser wakes up and sees Nate's notes. She steals them and sneaks out to find the treasure. When Nate wakes up, he realizes the map is gone, but he smiles. He had deliberately marked the wrong location. Nate heads to the real treasure site, which is in a cave on an island. Unknown to him, Brett has been tracking his movements. When Nate reaches the cave, he discovers two giant ships where many treasure seekers have died. He finds a large stash of gold inside one of the ships. Just then, Victor arrives, and Nate is shocked. "You tracked me using the GPS." Nate exclaims. As they admire the treasure, Brett arrives with her men, and Nate and Victor hide. Brett calls her team to board the ships by plane, knowing that both the ships and the treasure are worth millions. Nate and Victor emerge and decide to steal the ship themselves. They fight off Brett's guards and throw them into the water. Brett, enraged, attacks them using another ship. Victor hurriedly calls for a helicopter to escape, but Brett's men continue to assault Nate's ship. During the battle, Nate manages to destroy Brett's helicopter. Her ship then crashes into a mountain and is completely destroyed. Brett, still determined, boards Nate's ship. She tells him, "If I can't have the treasure, no one can." She then throws the ship's engine into the sea, making it impossible for the ship or the helicopter to move. Victor's bag of gold starts to slip, and he risks his life to save it by putting his helicopter on autopilot. Meanwhile, Brett and Nate are locked in combat. Victor sacrifices his gold-filled bag by throwing it at Brett, causing her to fall into the water. The ship's rope tethered to the helicopter snaps, and Victor pulls Nate aboard just in time. However, the ship collapses onto Brett, killing her. As the ship breaks apart, Nate tells Victor, "We can still retrieve the gold." But Victor stops him, saying, "It belongs to the government now. They are coming to claim it." Victor pilots the helicopter, and Nate, sensing Victor's disappointment, pulls a small piece of gold from his pocket, cheering him up. The two fly off smiling. In the final scene, a motorboat is seen chasing Victor and Nate. The person driving the boat is none other than Fraser, who has been fooled by Nate once again. In a surprising twist, it's revealed that Nate's brother is still alive and being held captive. With that, the film concludes.